We'll finish chatting out.
Yeah.
It's preparing it. All right, we should be live. Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome back to another Friday Live. I'm so excited to bring to you today Jose Zavala. He is an absolute genius whenever it comes to workflow, process automation. So we're going to be chatting all about that. He's also the owner of his own firm, ZTX Advisors, and a Xero ambassador. So this interview I know is going to be incredible, so valuable to all who are watching live and who come back to watch this. Be sure to let us know your questions in the comments below. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Jose, I would love to hear from you how you got started in accounting, and thank you in advance for being here.
No, of course, definitely. So I am actually trying to post, just like you, I'm all over social media. So I'm trying to post up with letting people know to come check us out. But yeah, so a little bit about me. I got into accounting. Funny story. My uncle is a CPA, one of the big regional firms in the world, top 10 or something like that. And I was a little bit lost in college. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I studied math, but I didn't want to be a teacher. I now realize that I could have done a lot more with it, but instead of being a teacher. So I was talking to him. He's like, "Oh, do accounting. It's really easy. It's really easy." My uncle's a nerd, like straight up a nerd. So I was like, okay, it's going to be easy. I get into it, and then intermediate 2 hits me, or intermediate 1 hits me, and I'm just like, what the heck is this? Like, what did I get myself into, So just kept with it, decided, graduated, got a job with a CPA firm here locally in Houston, and just been going that way, worked at several firms here in Houston, a mid-sized firm, and then 2 smaller firms. And then just kind of one day I was like, why am I killing myself? Why, I have these ideas. Nobody wants to listen to me. Nobody wants to do, they're not even open to the idea of what I want to say. There's different ways. I remember, and this is kind of one of the things, we were using a lot of desktop solutions, softwares for our tax returns. It was a tax heavy practice. And they wanted a way for me we had to put all the information in prior year, bank statements, checks, deposits, everything. And so instead of trying to figure out a solution to how to import that in, they told me just do it. And so I would spend 2 or 3 days just, click, 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 ding, ding, that little ding, ding that the desktop solution has. That I hate that sound now. And so I just, got tired, talked to my wife one day, and I was like, this is not what I want to do. This is not what I got into this. I got into this because we're supposed to be helping people, all it was just churn and burn, get it out the door. The motto of the firm was get it out the door. So, and just to me, it didn't work. I didn't like it. I didn't like what I was doing. Clients were calling mad because they owed a lot of money. The partner would promise them, a lot and wouldn't tell us. And so whenever it was time for us, we were supposed to deliver. We didn't because we didn't know. And it was a lot of things. This is your very traditional CPA firm. They make money, they do well. Good for them. It just wasn't my take. So I stepped away and I was like, okay, I'm going to get out of accounting 100%. I'm done with accounting. I'm done. So I took 6 months to just kind of find myself, really try to get where I wanted to. And then I had a couple clients that I brought on call me, "Hey, what the heck happened? Where'd you go?" And I'm like, "Well, no, I'm out. I'm done. Don't even, no." They're like, "No, you're not. We want you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, we're coming over. So I started off with 2 or 3, small tax returns, but I was like, okay, let me get my feet wet. And as I started to go, there came a point where it was either really focused, devote myself to finding, a full-time job somewhere in another industry. Sorry, this dang arm doesn't like to stay still. Finding another industry or, just kind of going on my own. And to be honest with you, I've never really had the entrepreneurial spirit. I was never really, I was always, I was very risk averse, and now that's changed big time. I mean, I'm the complete opposite now, but, I was like, okay, let me give this a shot. And I did, grew real fast. Then realized that It had no processes in place, no systems in place, nothing in place. Just kind of we were winging it. We got through with it, and then the client decided not to pay us. So I was out on a lot of money. Fired them. That was 60% of our revenue was coming from this one client. So it's like, okay, now what the heck do we do? So made a lot of bad investments, a lot of bad moves, and then just said, okay, restart from the beginning, kind of restarted, and here we are now.
I think that's so neat. If we rewind a little bit, how you mentioned that you kind of just fell into this, and then you had this big client that ended up leaving and you had to restart. And I think that happens to so many of us, regardless of what industry we're in, even if we're a business owner or we're just working in I should not say just, but we're working a corporate position. There's so many times that you have to restart, and it's not like you failed. It's just a redirection.
Yeah. And I mean, I will be 100% completely honest with you. I thought it was a failure, and I was like, oh, I'm not cut out for this and anything. But then I just started talking to more people, and they're like, man, that's part of being your own boss. You learn, like, you're still around. Don't give up. Like, you've got, just keep it going. And so I did. I cut everything. I refocused and tried to figure out, okay, what it is do I want to do? How do I want to service what, because my thought process was this. I saw these apps and I just got like, excited. And so the first one that came on, oh, I'm going to subscribe to it, and then I'm going to sell it to my clients. So I was paying 2-3 months worth of these pretty high fees for some of these other subscriptions that none of my clients wanted that stuff, and then, I can go get new clients. I can go get new clients and sell them on this. I didn't have time. I didn't have time because I was doing all the work, And so it's just, that's when I just kind of took a step back. Okay, what do I need? What do I absolutely need? And then as I go, plug it in as I go. None of this buying it ahead of time and then hoping I can sell it, because it just, that to me, what hurt me the most was I had a lot of money going out and the ROI on it was zero. Like, there was no return on investment on it. So
yeah,
except for, I guess the education side of it. So
totally. So I want to return at the end of this conversation back to a little bit more about you and your firm and some pros and cons you see in running your own firm. But for people watching, I'm sure they're really excited for us to jump into the meat of this interview. So what would you say is kind of changing the landscape today as people are moving to the cloud? What would you say is like the most important reason for people to make the jump and transition to the cloud?
Most important reason is time savings. This is when I went out on my own, I wanted the ability to work from anywhere. That was my thing. I remember during tax season, I had a buddy who got married right in the middle of tax season. So my firm let me go, but I was not able to get anything done. And so when I came back, I had a whole pile of tax returns that's high, and I ended up having to work even longer to kind of make that up. But for me, it's all about time. It's a time savings, because now by being on the cloud, you can access your information anywhere from any device. Now, I wouldn't recommend, logging into, like at the public library to do it. But, if you have everything locally on your desktop and your desktop crashes and you're not backing that up to something, you're kind of screwed. For us at the firm, we actually had our server crash. We were down for 2 days. That's 2 days, working on the cloud. I can literally just, my computer breaks. Okay, go buy a new one, 30 minutes. I'm booted up. I'm back in, and I'm back live,
Right.
Same thing, time savings as well. It allows you to essentially plug and play these other applications that are out there to automate, when we talk about it, get this a little bit more, but just kind of automate some of these, menial tasks, these administrative tasks that you don't think about that take a lot of time because you're so ingrained to doing them, and the big one for me was onboarding. Just the proposal process in itself used to take me 2-3 hours to do because I was my proposals had to be perfect. And I look at them now and they're nothing compared to what PI, practice ignition, spits out. But it's like, and things like that is what, for me, it's all about the time savings. That's what's important to me.
Absolutely. So for people listening, you talked a lot about whenever you're on the go, you can still work. What about security? Because I know that's a common concern.
Mhm.
Would you say that being on the cloud is as secure, or how can you ensure that you're staying as secure as possible whenever you're using cloud applications?
So that's a really great question. In my take, it's actually a lot more secure. People hear about Target getting hacked or Capital One getting hacked or everything, and it happens. And anybody's susceptible to get hacked. But let me give you an example. Like, so Xero stores all their information on AWS,
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, the Amazon platform. So Amazon's in charge of the security. If you get through that, then yeah, Xero is going to be compromised, but I'm sure everybody else who uses AWS is going to get compromised as well. In comparison to, like, well, no, I don't trust that. Okay, well then let me give you an example. You've got a new prospect or a new client or somebody that comes in to talk to you. You've got your passwords all up on your screen down here in notepads. You're like, hey, I got to go use the restroom, or hey, let me go get this piece of paper. You turn your back. Next thing you know, they're pulling those papers, or they're looking at it, and, getting into it. And there you go. You're compromised because now they have full access to your computer, and just remoting into that computer is not that hard anymore. Same thing with this is a conversation I have with a lot of colleagues, is I bet I can guess your password in 5 tries. It's either going to be welcome with something, password with a number or one of the characters. It's going to be one of your kids' names, your birthday, or your wedding anniversary. And I kid you not, probably about 75% of the time it's one of those. And they're just like, oh, you're right. And I'm just like, yeah, and I can go in and just kind of play with it. If I know your birthday, go in and play with it. If I know your kid's name, just go on your Facebook page. I'm sure you shared one of those. And here's the thing too, a lot of people, they have those security questions that they post up.
Mm-hmm.
What is your best friend's first name, or things like that.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know this, but like on Facebook, I see these threads all the time with this nice little caption that says, oh, name your top 3 friends growing up. That's all that is. They're fishing for your information. And so
Yep.
I go on Facebook. I see that you commented right there. I've got an answer to one of your security questions,
Yep.
and probably one of your passwords on your local thing. So, your security compared to AWS, night and day. Now you say, okay, I'm fully off the cloud. I'm 100% in. Okay, that's fine. Do you lock your drawers? And if you don't, same situation. What's stopping somebody from coming in, pulling information, taking pictures, and putting it back? Somebody can break in and do that, and then what do you do there? Kind of thing.
Exactly.
So for me, at least, being on the cloud's a lot more secure. Now you have to make sure you have, lengthy and good passwords. Your passwords can be ABC123, like things that are easily hackable. But you've got to have strong passwords, and you've got to have anytime they offer you a 2-factor authentication, take it.
Yeah.
Take it and use it.
So I think that was a great explanation, and also not only in terms of like the differences between the security and how you're not necessarily secure, even if you're not using, cloud applications, if you're just staying on the desktop, but the good reminder about passwords, because that's totally true. And I've definitely been guilty of not taking my passwords seriously in the past. So how about, as someone wants to make this transition, is it something that they can go out and do on their own? Should they hire a professional to help with them? Do you want to talk a little bit about the transition?
Yeah. So it is definitely doable on your own, but here's the thing. The bigger you are and the more moving pieces you have, the harder it's going to be, because you got to get all those moving pieces to connect together. And they're all going to have to talk to each other. So if you're just, like I was just starting out, it's a lot easy. You've got a few clients, transition them to one of these cloud-based systems. Move your work papers to one of these cloud-based storage systems, and you're good to go. But now if you're a bigger firm, or if you're growing, or you're on a growth path and you don't have that time, so it's all about time. Do you have the time to do it? Because it's not an easy process. It takes a while, and you have to research the right apps and everything. So I think if you don't have the time now to do it on your own, then that's something you outsource it. outsource it to somebody that can do that can build that for you and build that ecosystem for you, and just kind of, or at least give you, or it maybe not necessarily pay them to do it, but pay them to give you recommendations. Okay, this is what you're working on. So this is what I think. Here's, 2 practice management platforms you need to look at, this and this one. If you go this route, this is the stack you want to look at. If you go this route, this is the stack you want to look at. This is how they talk. Here you go. Have fun. If you need help, call us. We'll come in and implement it, kind of thing, And so that I think when you get to that point, it does make sense to call somebody, because it is overwhelming. There, just in the Xero marketplace, there are like over 800 apps.
Yeah.
We had this conversation this morning. So, excuse me. The Xero community here in Houston, we have a phone call every other week, just to kind of get together and talk about, pain points and how we can help each other grow. And one of the pain points was onboarding. And when somebody had mentioned that, oh, well, what do I do? Their bill pay. There's like 15 different options for bill pay, bill.com, Routable, Pluto. Like, there's a whole bunch, and they just keep adding and adding and adding and adding. And so what do I do? How do I go about that? And so, for me, what's helped me is just kind of leveraging that community, leveraging that community. And that's what's kind of helped me to be able to go. Or if you don't have the time, get somebody that knows, okay, this is what's out there. I've known this. I know people that do this. And then this is what I recommend, and then go from that point. So yeah, if you're starting off, I'd say start off on it, because I promise you it's going to make life so much easier. I mean, I've worked on the beach. I've worked, I've been on vacation. I've had to, I was in Hawaii and I had to log in and easy, go for 3 hours, tell my wife, go get your nails done, go do something, to kind of relax yourself that you can do on your own. And I'll go get some work done. And then when she's done, gets her nails done, gets a massage, comes back, okay, then it's time to go, and it just helps. It helps out a lot to do that. And so that's my 2 cents on it is if you're just starting off, leverage the community, leverage your colleagues, talk to them, see what they're doing. And if you get to the point where, okay, you wanted to implement and you don't have the time, pay somebody to do it, because I did it my own. I've been doing it on my own. And we've had this discussion. I've implemented, I think I'm on my 4th project management system now, and it works. We love the one we have now. It's what it does. But, we had to learn the hard way through the different steps. Okay, we thought it would do this. It didn't. This one thought it was. No, there was one you told me not to use, and we did, and we realized we didn't want it. So, it's things like that. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think there's some issues that people face whenever they're trying to find a new solution, especially if they're on their own, is definitely the app jungle. It's so overwhelming, like you said. But I also think for some people, at least in my experience in working with firms, is they get an idea of what they want. And that's the first step to finding what you need, is knowing what you want. And that's great, but not every single app out there is going to, there's not even going to be an app out there, I guess, to solve all of your problems right now. Mm-hmm. And so it can be really discouraging for someone when they're like, okay, here's my laundry list of what I want. That's great. But if, we can't find a solution for everything on that, that doesn't mean that you should not, adopt what is available and what is going to check off 9 out of 10 of those items. So I think that that's something really important for anyone listening is, it's an app jungle, figure out what you want, talk to people, get help if you need to. But just because, one thing out of 10 isn't solvable currently, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't just pause and press stop on everything and not move forward with implementing what is available to help you today.
100%. Oh my God, you hit that right in the head. There is no one-stop solution for everything. There isn't. And every app has its advantages and disadvantages. Some of them I like a lot, but there are some things about it that I hate. I don't want to name any bad names or anything. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but there's one in particular that when it works amazing. But when it doesn't, it's the most frustrating thing. And so that's kind of you're right. It's just all about, there's a lot out there, and just because it doesn't check off the full list, it doesn't matter. You're still getting those 9 out of 10. And I can guarantee you, given the next 6 months, an app is going to come out to solve that last problem you have. I mean, there's new apps coming out just about every day. it seems like, and somebody will find that somebody's going to have a big enough pain point in that problem that you have, that they're going to get fed up and decide, you know what, I'm going to bring in an app developer and we're going to build something ourselves and sell it. That's how a lot of these project management systems got started.
Totally.
Is people got tired and just like, okay, let's build it ourselves.
Exactly. So would you say, we've talked about some issues that people face. Would you say that there's another common objection, maybe in addition to security, that comes up? Or, we talked a little about, it's sometimes a little bit painful to pick out the right app, more like always painful to find the right app. Are there any other common objections you hear whenever it comes to, monies,
people? So here's the mentality is nobody wants to pay for it, because why? I can do it myself. The biggest thing I always hear is especially when I'm talking to them about Xero, it's like, hey, cloud solution. They're like, well, I have QuickBooks Desktop. I pay what, 500, 400, whatever it is that you pay for one time for the year. And then you have unlimited accounts that you can open. Okay. And yeah, you have a point there. But as you start going and doing the work and you start entering the checks, deposit slips, things like that, moving to a solution like a Xero or like a cloud-based solution is actually, yeah, you're paying by the month. But what you need to look at, you can't look at it as a price point. You need to look at it as, what's my ROI? What am I going to get out of this? And probably about 9 times out of 10, you're going to be getting time back. So something that in QuickBooks Desktop may take you, let's say, 6 hours to do, with the bank feeds and the bank rules and even the cash coding, if you need it, specific items, it can take you maybe 45 minutes to do inside a cloud-based solution with just the tools that they have internally, and that's just something in us as in the accounting industry, we tend to focus too much on the numbers and the cost and the price and what it is. We're not thinking about our businesses as entrepreneurs or as small business owners. We're looking at it as accountants. So it's all about the bottom line. Yeah, we got to make money, but at the same time, you also, and this is something that Ryan Embry over Practice Ignition told me when I had him on the podcast, which kind of blew my mind, but it made sense. You got to think about these applications as a full-time employee. So instead of hiring somebody to do a lot of these tasks, you spend the money for these applications. It's going to be a heck of a lot cheaper. So where you're spending $300-400 a month on different apps, but they're doing the job, or pretty much the job, of somebody that you would have to be paying full time, maybe, $1,000, $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 a month to do. And that's something we got to think about that. And it's all about the time savings and how is this going to save me time? Because when we save time, then we have the time to grow and actually work on our business, not in their business, which took me a while to learn too, to be honest with you. I was all about the apps, but I kept wanting to just do everything myself. And it's just, you can't grow like that, or you're going to hit a certain point where you're just going to get burned out and be like, you know what, I'm done with this.
Exactly. And I think even for some of the people watching, they are really early in their stages of starting their own firm. And so they think, well, I've got time. And that's true. Whenever you start out, you do have time. But at least for me, I think I always encourage them to think about it not only in the time, because that is so important, but also in the energy. It's like, if you got back those 2 extra hours, and let's say that you still have those 2 hours to work, what could you do with that? Like, what could you create with it? And yeah, maybe you are ending your day even 2 hours earlier, but is that going to give you the mental clarity now to go have time for a hobby or spend time with your family? Like, what is that going to do for you? It's not just, only giving you time to work more, replacing an employee, but it's like, you need to give yourself space, especially as a business owner, to like check out, relax, have other things going on in your life. And automation and tools like Practice Ignition, Xero, those really allow you to do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was talking to a colleague of mine who was telling me that for his invoices that he sends out, 3 people touch them, him and 2 other people. They print them to PDF, and then they print them out, stuff them, mail them, get back. And then, so then one person's in charge of of getting all the invoices printed and everything. Then they give it to the other person to load into the envelopes. They just mail it out. Things come back. Same person opens it up, everything, get the payments, and second person payment gets in there and does it. And so, you have a running AR balance. You have a running AR balance that way where, tools like a PI, practice ignition, like for us, we do monthly recurring revenue. So our PI charges our clients every month. So I have Xero receivables and I get paid right then and there. You know what I mean? It automatically charges it. If it doesn't charge or something happens, I can get a hold of the client and be like, hey, what's going on? Let's get this taken care of, or else we're not going to do the work for this month. And so it's things like that, where you don't think about like, oh, I can do it myself. It'll save a lot of time. It saves a lot of time. I mean, for us, just whenever you book a Calendly meeting with us, it sends as soon as you book it, it sends an automatic email that says, hey, thanks for booking a meeting with us. We look forward to talking to you. And then once the meeting ends, it sends another one that says, hey, thanks for the call. We really enjoyed talking to you. Please, here's a survey. Please let us know how we can, better help. And so we've had a couple people answer those, and I've been able to tailor my calls a lot. But okay, maybe, on my sales calls, it's I do too much here. I'm not giving enough information or something like that. And so it's been helping us internally as well. So.
Oh, I love that example. It's so practical. You probably would never go send out a survey on your own or have time to do that, but you're showing how tools you can then use to help you in other areas of your business to grow it. So, Of course, every firm is going to be a little bit different in their workflow and what tools they need, but I think it'd be super helpful, Jose, if you could walk through I'd say like from the time a client books a meeting with you, they're a prospect, to you actually completing the work. If you could give a overview summary of how that works and the tools that you're using in your firm to help streamline those processes, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, of course. So we're using Calendly right now for our booking calendar, just because you get one for free, which I'm all about free. Now I have the paid version, which because I have different ones for different clients. For my clients, I've got the tax planning. They anyways, I break it out between what we want to talk about, so they get more time if they need to, instead of just giving them the blank 30 minutes. So they book a call, we come on, we have a sales call. I've been kind of bad about this, but I'm trying to get better. Is during the sales call, I'm supposed to the proposal inside PI. Don't, because I'm too busy talking and or listening, and I'm actually engaged. It's interesting to hear these people about their businesses and what they want to do and their dreams, and so after that, I send them the proposal. Any communication back and forth, we figure out what we need to do. They sign it. As soon as they sign it, it automatically sends them a welcome email that says, hey, welcome to the team. We're really looking forward to working with you. Here's a video. Please, of how we work. We want to make sure that, we work together. So they open the video, and it's just essentially me like, hey, this is how we work. This is what you can expect from us. This is what we expect from you. If there's any questions, please, reach out. But, this is kind of how we plan on working and how we do, because I want them, we already had that conversation during the sales call, but there's always, I want that available to them always, to have. So what that does, MPI, it kicks off an automatic, creates the client and the invoice inside Xero. And so, and once the payment gets processed, it automatically, collects the payment, reconciles the invoice, and then, you're good to go. You have it just your bank feed. So all you do is just approve it, and, you're good to go. Internally, we're still working on the integration with Teamwork, because we use Teamwork for our project management system and PI. We're working on, we got to use Zapier, a third party, to do it. So this is something we're working on right now to do, but the plan is for it to automatically create the project with the client. And all we have to do is just go in, drop in the templates for the tasks that we have to do for them, and move forward with it. What I also do is I actually, this is the last 2 weeks, on that welcome email, I added a link to my onboarding call where they book an onboarding call. So it's a 90-minute call where we sit down. Usually we do it quicker, but we sit down, we have a conversation through video chat where I literally share my screen. I walk them through Teamwork, how we use it, and how they're going to use it as well, because they're very involved in that as well. We invite them in, they see where we're at on each project. They communicate with us inside there. We explain to them that while email is great, we don't really answer to emails. Everything's going to live in here because there's an app, so I can answer to it on my phone. And so I walk them through it, how to log in. I make sure they log in. I make sure they download the app. Walk them, show them how to upload files, how to do everything. And then we go into Xero. We create the actual, books account if they're not already on there. Link up the banks. Make sure they log in, everything, link up the bank, show them kind of how it works, what, depending on the level of service we're doing and they're doing, we kind of walk them through a little bit. We log them into HubDoc to pull whatever statements we need from there. And then we kind of give them a quick walkthrough of, hey, this is how you take pictures of a receipt. This is how you upload receipts. And this is kind of what we're looking for, things like that. And then, so that's the onboarding call. It's essentially showing them all that. So what we do is take that video, we create a Vimeo site specifically for them, password protected, where they can go in and we upload that video. And so in our teamwork site, we give them links to all my different calendars. So if you want to talk about the tax return, it's tax return. Tax planning is this. Just a client call. If you have miscellaneous questions, book this one. And we also give them a link to that Vimeo site with their password in the project so that they can go in and they can go back and see any videos or any calls we've had in case there's any misunderstandings. So if they call and there's a problem, like, hey, how do I do this? We hop on a call, I record it, re-upload it. So then that way they can always have that to go reference back if they need to. And same time, we take that and drop it into our internal site for my people to know. And that way, so now I train the client, but then it's also in our trainings, in our knowledge sharing hub inside SharePoint, which is what we use for internally, for all of us. Our tech stack. So I'm integrating HubSpot as we speak now for our CRM. We got PI for our proposals in our payment management system. We've got Xero as our accounting system. Teamwork is our project management system. Then we've got HubDoc, which pulls receipts. Now, if we're doing any kind of catch-up work or anything like that, then we just upload everything into auto entry, and auto entry pulls those CSV files for us. We upload them into Xero, use the cache coding feature, and we get it done like that. Like it's simple. Depending on payment, if we're paying anything for clients, I personally use Routable instead of Bill.com. I like Routable. I like Omri. He's a good guy. They've helped me out a lot.
Oh, Jose, I think you're muted.
That's the problem. That's the problem with having too many microphones. Oh, sorry. Right, I think it's this one. So yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So as you guys see, I have wireless headsets. I was telling Katie before this, I've got too many microphones and things attached. HubDoc, Gusto, internally, our document storage is going to be SharePoint. So we built out Microsoft, we built out SharePoint. We use Microsoft to its full extent. We all my team is remote. So we enroll all their devices. They bring their own device, but we enroll their devices in. So we actually put security certificates on them so we can manage our information on their thing. So let's say you, Katie, we bring you on and you want to work with us, you want access to our system. So we enroll your device and let's say it gets stolen. Well, we have access in our system to go in and just wipe everything off of your computer to where nobody can touch it. Same thing with phones. If you want to have, stuff on your phones and things like that. We use SharePoint, which is a data management system internally. We built that out, and I got to give all shout out to Morgan on that because that's like her expertise is all that. She really built it out, and it's awesome. Because then with SharePoint, we can just sync it up with our desktop on like the folders, and so I can open up PDFs and directly natively on the side, and so it works out pretty well. So when I print a PDF, I can print it straight to those folders. It automatically connects with the SharePoint on the cloud, and good to go. Microsoft Stream is another thing that's on the business plan. If you guys are on the business plan, and that's the internal, it's like an internal YouTube. But what I like about it is it transcribes all your videos for free.
Mm.
So like my training videos that I have internally, if you want to look at a certain specific thing, you can actually search into it and it'll take you to those timestamps when I said, profit and loss, or when I said, cash flow and things like that. So internally it helps us out a lot whenever we're for our training and things like that. Vimeo, like I said, for our clients externally, we store all their videos on there. There's a few more. We don't T-sheets right now I'm using just to track time because everybody's part-time. And so I just need to know what to pay them. As far as project management goes, we track turnaround time. So I need to know when it comes in, when it goes out. And, we have our certain budgets. And if it takes a little bit longer, I need to know why. Is it the client's fault or is it our fault? If it's our fault, then, there's a problem. But if it's client's fault, then, we got to figure out how to solve that issue so that we don't have that again next year. I think that's kind of it. Oh, and Xero. Of course. I mean, I have some QBO clients. Some give me, I'm not going to turn away clients. If they're a good client, I like them and they work with us and they're very kind of more tech savvy and willing to be more open to ideas and, automating a few things. And of course, I'm not going to turn them away, but the first conversation we always have is, come over here. I mean, like you said, I'm an ambassador. I love the product so much that I repped it. And so now they pay me to rep it, so, and it's nice, because it's something I believe in, I believe in strongly in that. Gusto's a really good, I've got Paychecks back here. They've helped me out a lot. We got the man JJ right here, as well. But yeah, I think that's the stack. To be honest with you, we've got it documented somewhere and I'm sure there's a few here and there that we use, but I think that's the majority of Tax Planner Pro for our tax plans, all of our tax plans, because they connect directly to these cloud applications. They update, you just sync it, it updates it, and it really gives you a good idea of what they're going to owe. And so far it's been pretty accurate. So
that's awesome. That was so helpful, Jose. And I know that maybe for some people it sounds like a lot, but once you have things hooked up, it's not like you have to be logging into all these different applications all the time. It's really nice whenever you can either have like a native sync or like you said, you're using Zapier. So Xero, why, if someone is trying to debate between using QuickBooks Online or Xero, give us your pitch. Why Xero?
Okay, twofold. One, most important thing that sold me was a community. Like I said, we had this call this morning. We have a call. The events that they have locally, we have road shows. I say we, like I work for them. I don't. I'm a contractor for them. They have road shows all throughout the U.S. in Canada, where it's just kind of like, hey, this is where we are, and showcasing new stuff, new product features, and things like that. They bring the community together. I've learned a lot, to be honest with you, from the community. That's a very open and welcoming community. I can ask questions to anybody, and hey, like one of the biggest problems I had was sales tax. So I had a client and I was like, I'm just having a lot of trouble with the sales tax. And so, there's like 3 or 4 different options out there. So I talked to a couple of people and they told me the consensus was TaxJar. And I was like, okay, went with it, worked okay. But then it ended up being that we figured out how to make it a little bit simpler on our own. So we just, okay, again, another situation if we don't need it. So we got rid of it, but, yeah, and that was something, same thing with a cash forecasting app. I was using Float, and then I got in contact with Helm, and so we're using Helm now because I like Helm a little bit better. And the guys over there, Twylia and Kelvin, are actually really, really cool and really helpful. But yeah, it's just the community and coming together, and it's a very close-knit group. So wherever you go, if you're, it's kind of lame to say, but if you go somewhere and you guys are Xero users, it's like, oh, okay, and it's immediately it's not that competition of like, you're my competition. It's no, you're my colleague, and hey, what do you use and what apps? What's your focus on, and what are you using for these type of clients? And these conversations strike up, and I'll tell you, I've learned more from those conversations than I have from just researching myself. Secondly, it is a much easier software. Now there is a learning curve, and this is something we talked about this morning. It's more of a mindset, because inside QBO, you can do tips and tricks and adjustments to make things work. and inside Xero you can't. So you can't make an adjustment to the bank, to AR, or to AP. So you have to natively go in and make sure that you do it through the AP function or the AR function or the bank as well. If cash is going out, you got to make sure you record it going out of the bank and not just a journal entry. Keeps it a lot cleaner. It's one base set of a chart of accounts. It's a flat chart of accounts. And so where, a lot of people say, oh, well, sub accounts, I need sub accounts. You can have your accounts, and then they have a really nice reporting feature where you can actually group those together in the reporting feature. So it actually makes your profit and loss look a lot cleaner instead of having, I had one client that literally, I kid you not, 20 pages of a P&L because they had just sub accounts of everything where, a classes or locations, could have solved that kind of thing, so it's to really get, I like it. It's a lot easier, and it's just, to me, it's more intuitive. It's just I've played with both, and my staff has played with both, and they both say, once they learn Xero, it's just a much easier and cleaner software. And price. Their partner plans are, if you're doing just bookkeeping, so no invoicing function, no nothing, their partner plans come in a little bit cheaper than what you're going to pay for QBO. I think. I haven't looked at the QBO prices yet in a while, but I do know that comparison, at least that helps out a lot. And so for me, for my Schedule C clients, like again, that situation I told you where tax preparer comes in with bank statements, a big box of stuff, and drops it off, I can use what's called the cash book, which is literally just a ledger system. I don't connect banks. I don't anything. Use that, upload, get the information, drop it into auto entry, pull that, upload it in, and then I do cash coding and bank rules to get my financials in order, and I've got a good financial statement out the door. Now, yes, I'm paying monthly for Xero. I'm paying, per page by auto entry. So let's say overall it's going to end up costing somewhere around $60 or $70. But with $60 or $70, with the time to do it, that's all it's going to cost me. Where you're probably going to have to pay someone a lot more, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours to do, and that's just, and the time, in 6, 7 hours compared to 45 minutes.
Right.
And so it's just, you're paying back for that time. So just, could you imagine what you can do with an extra 5 hours? It's amazing, especially in the middle of tax season. That's just more returns you can churn out.
Exactly.
And so that's my pitch with it. That's why. It's just ease of use. It's a lot cleaner. There is a learning curve. I do want to say that up front, but to me, it's just easier. And I feel like once you get the hang of it, it is just a much cleaner and easier software to use. And you can actually restrict your clients from making journal entries.
That is awesome.
That's the most important part. So,
well, I know that we're getting towards the end of our session here, and I want to be respectful of your time and also of our audience's time, because I know, Jose, you and I, we can chat for quite a while, and we'll probably start to turn some people off with how long we can talk. Mm-hmm. But for everyone who wants to go connect with you, reach out to you, where can they find you?
Everywhere. I am all over the place. So ZTX Advisors, I am on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Just look up Jose Zavala. You'll see my face there. Email jzavala@ztxadvisors.com. If you have any questions, guys, reach out. I mean, I'm an open book. That's how I learn, just by reaching out to people. So, any questions. Now, of course, if you want me to lay out a whole plan for you, then we got to talk. But, if it's just a quick question. So that the thread that we had yesterday about the PI practice management system that JMac actually got on PI and teamwork and all that, somebody actually reached out to me there and just gave them a list of why I think teamwork works and, how we set it up and everything. And it took me 5 minutes. There's nothing wrong. I'm okay with that. I'm an open book. I mean, it's just, I'm all about collaborating and not competing. If I can help you grow, if I can help you deliver better service to your clients, then that means that they're going to grow their wealth, and it just, the industry comes up as a whole. And so that's kind of what I'm about. So ZTX Advisors, every social media, Jose Zavala on LinkedIn. Find me. I'm on everywhere, and I post probably a little too much. So
Can never post too much. Well, thank you, Jose, so much. I'll link all of your accounts below in the description. And if anyone has questions, be sure that you comment them below. If they're for Jose, I'll make sure that he sees them and can respond. And so thank you again, Jose. I so appreciate you.
No, thank you for having me. I mean, this is fun. And like I said, I'm glad you cut it off because, guys, we hung out at the accounting symposium and everybody there was just kind of like, what are these two talking about? And so we went on kind of a pretty deep, technical tangent there, but it was fun. So thank you, Katie, for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Jose.